Hey, my name is Felicia Giouzelis. I am a women's empowerment coach and a healer, and I'm here to talk to you about how to set boundaries. This is a good time to grab a journal and take some notes because I'm going to tell you exactly how to set boundaries. So, when we're talking about boundaries, if you don't know who you are deeply, intimately, if you don't know who you are deep down inside, what will happen when you go to set boundaries is you will retract your boundary. So let's say you set a boundary with someone that you love or care about, and you are able to perceive or you understand that maybe they're not happy with the boundary that you set. And by the way, the people that are unhappy with boundaries that you set are the people that are benefiting from you not having any boundaries. That's an important note to take. But what we often do is we feel guilty. And so you'll retract the boundary. And when you retract a boundary, what's happening on the inside is you feel guilty for setting the boundary. Now, why would you feel guilty for setting a boundary? It's because you're not honoring yourself because you don't know how. And this is like a circle. It goes back to what I talked about at the very beginning. If you don't know who you are and what you want, you definitely don't understand on a deep level what you need. And so you'll set what's called a reactive boundary. You will set a boundary because you're triggered. Someone triggered you. They upset you with something that they said or did. And you'll react by setting a boundary. Boundaries like that are okay. I mean, they're not necessarily bad, but I wouldn't say that they're super helpful, especially if you don't stick with them. What you're teaching yourself and you're teaching the people in your life that you are trying to set the boundaries with, that you can't be counted on. You're not making a commitment. You're not honoring yourself. And that's basically teaching people in your life that they don't have to honor you either because you're not honoring yourself. So why would they? They don't necessarily think about it that way, and I'm sure you don't either, but that's sort of the subconscious energy that comes out of that. So the first thing you want to do is get really super clear on who you are and what you need in your life and what you want in your life. And boundaries come as a result of really doing that inner work, where you start to look at your life and everything that's going on outside of you to start. This is called the mirror effect, right? You start looking at everything outside of you and going, what is my external environment mirroring back to me? Do I like what it's mirroring back to me? Do I not like what it's mirroring back to me? And what changes can I make to bring my life more into alignment with who I am and what I want? But like I said, if you're trying to set boundaries without having that really deep, intimate information about yourself, you're not going to stick with your boundaries. Or you're going to get really emotionally frustrated because you'll feel like you're not able to communicate who you are, what you need, what you want. And what this causes in relationships is a lot of confusion and a lot of frustration because you can't articulate with words what you really need. And especially in intimate relationships, this can cause a lot of problems. So understanding yourself on a deep level is really the first start to all of this. Now, let's say you're already there. You understand who you are, what you need, what you want, and there's some dysfunction out in your space, maybe with friends, family, acquaintances, even at work, and you need to put some boundaries in place. It depends on the type of relationship, and that kind of it could alter the type of boundary that you want to set. But let's, for the sake of this video, say you're having some trouble at work with a coworker. Let's say they spoke to you in a way that you didn't really appreciate, right? So let's say you're feeling like you were spoken down to. Okay, if you're feeling like that, whether it's coworker or some other area of life, realize that your wounding may be the one that's reacting or perceiving things in a certain way. That's not for you to blame yourself and go, oh, this is just me, they didn't do anything wrong. No, we don't want to do that either. I want you to try to look at it sort of logically first and not emotionally. And the way you would do something like that is ask the person for clarification. You say something like, this is what I heard you say. Is that what you meant? This is what it sounded like to me. Is that what you meant? And just kind of come at this more from a curious perspective rather than being reactive. And this is kind of a really smart way to approach a situation like that, because number one, you're putting the ball back in their court and asking them to clarify, and you're not accusing or blaming. That is a surefire way to have a big problem with someone in your life when there may not be a problem to begin with. A lot of people interact in this way. They just get reactive because they're triggered. And you need to know how to be able to process your triggers in a good, healthy way that gets to the root cause of what's actually going on, so that you don't have this type of dynamic with people where you're blaming, accepting blame, casting blame. Blame is never a good energy when you're interacting with people that you care about. And even if you don't care, we're all connected in some way, right? And if people are triggering you, whether you care about them or not, they are mirroring something back to you that needs to be worked through. And sometimes you will do your very best when it comes to boundaries, right? You'll do your very best to communicate with people. You have absolutely given everything you can and tried to work it out with them and tried to talk to them, and it still won't work. And that is where we talk about acceptance and really stepping into this place of, you have to know within you that you have done everything that you possibly can in the relationship, and you have to be okay on some level with it not working out as you thought. This is where expectations really come into place, and where we talk more about unconditional love. A lot of people are focused on unconditional love being an outside thing. It's how you love other people, but that's only one aspect of unconditional love. Sometimes the most unconditionally loving thing that you can actually do is walk away from someone or something. A lot of times when we're talking about poor communication, which comes up in a boundary conversation, right? People can't really communicate how they feel to you either, with you. They can't share that with you because of the same reasons that I'm talking to you about. They don't know who they are. They don't know how they feel. They don't know what they need. And if you're watching this as a highly sensitive or empathic person, what you're able to do, and this is your beautiful gift in this world, is you're able to perceive and kind of tune into the fact that they need something. And what will happen is you will abuse your power. We'll link you to a video for that down below so you can understand a little more about how you might be abusing your power. But when you take your gift of intuition and you tune into what someone else needs or wants from you, even though they haven't asked you for it, you're breaking your own boundary. You're reaching in and trying to provide support to someone who doesn't really know how to ask for it, which means they don't know how to receive it. And that's how you abuse your power. What you're doing is just power dumping. You're giving your power away to people who not only can't appreciate it from you, they can't receive it, which means they can't appreciate it. And it's a way that you overgive. It's a way that we people please as human beings. We just want to be liked, we want to be loved, we want to be appreciated, but giving your power away is not a way to make that happen. Standing in your power is what brings that to you. So that's one way that I described that you can set a boundary. Let's say if it's something you think you might be reading into, just ask for clarification. Approach it from a place of curiosity. Try not to let the trigger get the best of you if it is something that's triggering you. The other thing when it comes to setting boundaries is you can't set them in the moment when you're triggered. There's something that has to be set in advance. Now, I'm not saying if someone is being abusive or a more extreme case like that, of course you set a boundary immediately and you remove yourself from the situation if possible. That would be the first thing you want to do. But in most cases, we don't have something like that coming up. So you want to be a little more proactive about boundaries rather than reactive. Proactive means you're doing that inner work. You're trying to understand who you are, what you want, what you need, reconnect with yourself, your soul on a very deep level, and start to understand what is okay with you and what is not okay with you. And from that place, you take a look at your life, you take a look around you, and you go, okay, what needs to be adjusted here? What needs to be fixed? And from that place, you start working on boundaries. And from that place, it's a place of honoring yourself, who you are, your value. Only you can determine your value. And you create space for people who do honor you for who you are to step in, to really step in and take up space in your life, because you're fully embodying who you are, right? But until you do that, boundaries will seem very elusive and you'll have a lot of triggers coming up. I hope this helped you learn how to set some boundaries in your own life. If you want to learn more, we have a few links for you down below. And if you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment and I will get back to you in the comments section. I'll see you on the next video.